And welcome back to episode 2. We're still going through the glossary. This is for Wiktor's father, Stanislav. His father was a thaumaturge even when his mother was sick. After a few years of marriage, they split up, and his father's kind of been abusive to him ever since. This is his sister, Ligla, who started off with the letter and the voiceover that was started from the beginning of the game. They're twins, and there's a special bond between us, and he's really the only person from his family that he speaks to. This is for Transcaucasia. This is the area of the map that we are in starting, and I believe this is where we're going to be at for most of the game. It's just talking about how it's a beautiful country, Warsaw, and the Kingdom of Poland and Georgia, and it's now taken over by the Russian Empire. And they extend it to their hand at best. They respect only force, unresponsive, and rational reasoning. They're essentially just spreading their empire, taking over the land, and everyone is living under their rule. And this is just a response to Polish people and Georgians of trying to not only live amongst their rule, but keep their lives some kind of peaceful and some kind of together like the way they were before. But it is very clear that there's a lot of animosity towards Russians and animosity towards the war by a lot of the people in the cities and the people that we're going to be meeting here going through this playthrough. And to continue our glossary section on factions, here have the Kingdom of Poland. 100 years have passed since Poland has technically disappeared from the map over the German Empire first, and then the Austrian-Hungary monarchy, and now the Russian Empire. So they've been war-torn for a couple of years. They've been occupied by 3 different empires at this point. So the Polish language is being pushed out of schools. All of their culture, all of their heritage is being pushed out of schools, and they're very animosity. There's a lot of animosity towards that, and they're fighting back against their oppressors to have an established language and to save the last little remnants of culture and heritage that are still left, which is again why people are so upset about the current occupation. This here is our skill tree. You have heart, mind, deed, and word. These are the 4 different affects and that you can place skills into. These will allow you to interact with certain objects and certain memories in the world to be able to uncover more information and evidence as we transition throughout the game. In that skill tree, there's also different versions of the Upnir that you can meet and interact with and speak with. That you'll apply different abilities. You'll have different summons and different attack abilities. Since it's still the beginning of the game, we don't have any of that yet. This is just talking about flaws, and this is the Thaumaturge pets that you can get. This is our first one. This is up here, and the abilities that he has: inflicting damage, which will restore our HP; a bloody penance, which is inflicting damage to a target's health points; and just eerie toxication, which is a DOT over time. For the build that I'm currently using here, I'm trying to stack a lot of debuffs on a target and then hit them with a major hit from Wiktor himself to kind of destroy targets pretty quickly. I don't necessarily know if that's going to work throughout the entirety of the game, but it seems like stacking these debuffs is going to be a good way to clear out enemies very effectively. But we'll continue with that as we progress through the story and through the game. In this portion of the game, there are standalone or side characters that you can speak with. They don't have direct dialogue or audio. It's just you'll see the speech bubbles above their head, and that's just their conversation and interactions in that moment. There are people that you can talk to directly, and we will see them here in a couple of minutes when we get into our first altercation, and that will be our first bit of combat. Soon the day will come where people will throw off their shackles of hatred. With one stroke of the mighty arm, hardened by work and struggle and misery, they will get rid of this despised czar. Many recent events, so agonizing for many, have been a torch that will kindle the flame of revolution. It will only take a few people to raise their heads proudly and abandon their work for the flame, to become an inferno that will consume the oppressor and cleanse our lands. It is already happening. Workers in major cities are preparing for action, and the country folk are joining into the fray. The hour of trial is upon us. Let us not lose heart. There's a lot of experience points that can be gained from just reading newspapers or articles or interacting with the different things that are locked behind your skill tree progressions. So I'm going to try to even out stat points to make sure that I can interact with all of these discoveries so that we can get as much information about the story as possible. Again, I'm going to make sure I talk to every character and uncover all the areas of the map. There can be like little hidden things and things around. I just want to make sure I see and match everything so we can get as much of the story and hopefully as many skill points so we can make Wiktor as strong as possible.
Już w tym tygodniu dostaliście co wasze.
Molciat, my tu są od pilnowania porządku, a to kosztuje. Zimno się robi, koszty wzrosły.
Ej, ty! Ładne buty. Ciepłe? Rzeczywiście, buty mam wyjątkowo ciepłe. Dziękuję.
I prędzej czy później skopią tyłki soldatom.
Nie kuś, Luka, nie kuś. Zaraz do ciebie wrócimy, tylko załatwimy formalności z tym turystą.
Idź z nami. My carskie soldaty. Twarze raczej nie pasują do munduru. Bardziej do złodziei.
Chyba nie chce rozmawiać z nami po dobroci.
These Russian soldiers here started off like incredibly disrespectful, calling us an idiot and all kind of stupid things, calling us a tourist when we're Polish and they're Russian. But they tried to get us to run our boots because we have new boots and they want them, and we are not doing that. So I picked the pride option to give Wiktor a little boost, and this here is our first taste of combat. As of right now, we have a quick attack that does 5 to 6 damage, and we have a heavier attack that does 11 to 14 damage, but it is slow, so it will take 2 of our turn instead of 1 little pip of turn. We'll go into combat more detail later on when I have more abilities and more of the build is rounded out. But for right now, this is just a little tutorial battle that I don't believe you can lose in any way, shape, or form. But this is just giving us a taste of what combat is going to be like going forward. There you can get a little bit to understand the different skill speeds. Heavier attacks take longer, lighter attacks come out faster but do less damage.
Wstydu sobie narobią, jak powiedzą komu, że ich taki kaleka spraw.
And with a couple of punches, those 2 boys are dealt with, and we're going to continue on to find the miracle worker who's in the tavern up ahead. But once again, I'm going to run around just to make sure we've seen everything and there's nothing else that we can discover, and we'll continue forward after that. We always have to make time to pet the animals in every single game. If there's a dog, if there's a cat, it could be a fucking squirrel, whatever it is, if it has the option to pet it, I will be petting it. And we are now in the tavern where we are going to meet this miracle worker that this town has been talking about. As you can see there's another conversation in the top corner back there, and that is the miracle worker that we're going to be meeting up with. Yeah, my man in the corner said, even when I touch a woman, I feel nothing. I have no sin. I feel no attraction at all. I'm like, damn, how in the fuck is that possible? But we're going to continue going through the rest of the tavern here and meeting up with the miracle worker who is Rasputin. This is showing skill points and how leveling works. I talked about this earlier, so we're not really going to go through this again. I just now have a skill point so I can add a point to either heart, mind, or anything else. Heart is the tree that Upir runs on, so buffing heart tree will buff Upir itself, but I want to even out stats to make sure that I can do more of the detective stuff that's coming up once we speak to Rasputin. And these are your upgrades. As you can see, we have an upgrade called Relaxation, which allows us to restore 3 focus, which is essentially our mana or skill points. I'm applying that to our heavy attack, so whenever I hit someone with the heavy attack, I get more focus back. So it should make it so that you can immediately hit someone with a heavy and then hit them with a light right after, without it needing to waste the time, because heavy attacks take a long turn time. Here we have news from Iran. Our correspondents report that a newly appointed governor of Iran province, Prince Napoleon Luis Jose Jerome Bonaparte, has just arrived in town. The highest official were present when welcoming ceremony, followed by a dinner from Iran's most eminent families. The governor general addresses to the townspeople is expected within a few days. So Napoleon Bonaparte is going to address the townspeople of Iran here in the next few days, according to that newspaper. Once again, there's going to be a lot of aimless wandering. I want to make sure that we see every little chat icon and every little piece of information. If this annoys people or is bothering people, I can cut a lot of this out and just voice over on top of it to explain what I'm doing. But for the time being, I want to leave these in because there's a lot of readable text and readable quotes. Also, I can read them out aloud if people would like that as well.
Proszę wybaczyć, czy pan nazywa się Grigori Jefimowicz Rasputin?
Wybaczam.
Przepraszam, po prostu szukam pana od tak bardzo dawna
I spodziewałeś się śmierdzącego prostaka, analfabety, który naciąga chorych ludzi i twierdzi, że rozmawia z samym Bogiem. Już mówiłem, że ci wybaczam.
Tak, słyszałem, zwłaszcza w Petersburgu. Słyszałem też o uzdrowieniach, nawet beznadziejnych przypadków, niewytłumaczalnych.
A w co ty wierzysz?
This man is not fucking with us at all until we can prove to him what we can believe in, and we have to prove to him that we have a certain level of power because he believes he does, so he's not going to believe shit that we say to him otherwise. So that is what we will be solving
Jeśli
here
mi pan
in these next
pomoże,
little bit of
uwierzę w
dialogues.
wszystko. I proszę mi uwierzyć, że wszystkiego poza cudem już próbowałem. I znam znaczenie tego słowa. Jestem taumaturgiem.
Skąd przyjechałeś?
O panu dowiedziałem się w Paryżu. O charyzmatycznym cudotwórcy z Rosji. Nawet od lekarzy, którzy mnie leczyli. Zanim dotarłem do Petersburga, pana już tam nie było. Przejechałem prawie 3 kontynenty. Przez Syberię, Indię i pół Europy. Ale jeśli pyta pan o moje pochodzenie, to jestem z Polski.
Z której Polski? Z tej rosyjskiej, niemieckiej, czy z tej części, która należy do Austrii?
Z Warszawy.
Masz jakieś imię?
Wiktor Szulski.
Spotykałem już na swojej drodze ludzi, którzy kłamali mi o swoich problemach, a potem rozpowiadali, że jestem szarlatanem. Po nich pojawiali się kolejni, z widłami i pochodniami, a ja musiałem znosić szykany, plucie w twarz lub ratować się ucieczką, żeby ocalić życie. I teraz ty mówisz, że jesteś czarodziejem z wymyślonej krainy, której nikt nie widział na mapie od ponad 100 lat. Wybacz moje rozbawienie. Jestem przed pierwszą kawą.
Wybaczam panu i wciąż proszę o pomoc.
Udowodnij, że jesteś taumaturgiem, a wysłucham cię.
Co pan chce, żebym zrobił?
Poznałem kilku takich jak ty, więc wiem, co potraficie. Znajdź w tej gospodzie coś, co należy do mnie i powiedz mi coś, co tylko ja mogę wiedzieć.
Muszę najpierw mieć coś pańskiego i osobistego, żeby nauczyć się pańskiego śladu. To taki wzór, po którym rozpoznam pozostałe przedmioty.
Powąchaj to.
He has given us some prayer beads that he has asked us to smell so that we can get information from. The zeal gushing from the beads impregnates the wool better than the tallow from the owner's strong fingers. The object pulses with a mixture of blue rapture, purple passion, and graphite fierceness. The touch of the beads burns, but it also attracts. Trace certain Rasputin. And we are meant to draw conclusions and try to make observations based upon interacting with these beads and other items in this room, and this is how we prove to Rasputin that we are a Thaumaturge and have powers.